Everybody have a chance to review the minutes dated June 18th? Any questions, changes? If not, I make a motion to accept the minutes dated June 18th, 2025. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Jack.
All right. So we're at 295 calls to date. And I typically do a 5-year comparison just to put it in perspective. So last year to date to September 17th, we had 328 calls. So we're a little bit behind that, but we are certainly on the top end of 23 and 21 and 22, which was 236, 217, and 230. So typically over the last 5 years, we average about 261 calls to this date. So we're pretty much on track with where we're headed. Personnel, we don't have any real changes. The only thing I'll report is we had reported picking up a retired doctor. She is in driver training, continues that, and she has signed up and probably started very shortly an EMT program in Southampton. So over the winter, she'll be attending EMT school, and she'll be out for the summer.
What is her liability as a physician?
She's not a physician, she's retired, and she's turned in her medical license. She's not a physician, but obviously she is a physician by education and knowledge. So we look forward to that, but she'll be practicing as an EMT and a driver.
The license brings the liability?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, she's no longer a licensed, she cannot practice medicine. She's not a doctor anymore. So with that, she doesn't have the insurance that would be required. So it's not an issue.
She shouldn't probably have her MD credentials at the end on any written documents.
Right. And then the second person that we had picked up, who's doing great, he's already pushed himself through driver training. He's also bilingual, which has helped us on many occasions already. Just last week, we needed him to interpret. It's easy to say, there's an app for that and stuff, but, there's certain emotion and other impacts with language that you feel, and he can express that to us. So that's really a big benefit. So that's welcomed. And the third person that we had never filled out their applications and never completed it. So we have nobody outstanding as far as membership waiting for us. In no particular order as usual, the EMTs have a couple protocol updates, and I'll just go over a couple of the ones that are important to us here. One is the EMTs are able to give a respiratory medication, a nebulizer, an updraft. Typically was one medication. Now we do a dual med, so they'll be able to administer 2 medications for people that are having trouble breathing. So that's a big advantage for us, much more effective in the long run, helping respiratory people. The ipratropium and albuterol combination, which is standard anyways. So our EMTs are doing that, and we are moving forward with the iGel, which is an airway adjunct to assist us get open airways in patients. And that will probably be at our next monthly meeting. We'll do the in-service for that, and that'll be in place right after that meeting. So those are 2 good things as far as medical protocols that are going on. I'll go through some of the events. I try to recap a little bit of what we've done in the last quarter. We attended Family Day at Gardeners Bay Country Club, as we had reported we would. I think that was July 5th. That was a great interaction with kids and family, like a show and tell, along with the fire department and the police department. They were also there. We had water rescue training actually out in the open water after a lecture on July 9th with the fire department and the police department. So we tried to cross-train on all available equipment. The fire boat's a little bit different than the police boats. So we acclimate ourselves on how to operate on those different vessels so we can all work together and universally. Camp Good Grief did not happen, unfortunately, as Mark was saying, it was only probably a weekend program, not the week-long program. We usually were invited during the week-long program to host a barbecue and interact. So unfortunately, we didn't get to do that, but we'll keep our eyes and ears open. We certainly would do that should the opportunity come again in the future, which I'm hearing possibly in October, which would
With
be great.
the Camp Good Morning,
Yep, different group, but same concept.
yes.
We participated in the Chamber of Commerce Truck Show on September 13th. We stood by at the fireworks, which is one of the requirements, obviously, for the display, that we have to be there, and we make that commitment, and we did. We also participated in the town's Health and Wellness Committee had a brain injury program, if you will, during National World Brain Day. I didn't know that they had that, but I guess they do. And we heard it was actually quite informative. They have different facets. They had a medical physician there. They had people talking about dietary influences. We were there ambulance-wise from brain injuries that we see in the field. And the police department did a presentation on injuries, specifically serious head injuries that we've seen in the last year or two, mostly with like e-bikes and those type of motorized things that we are now dealing with. So it was very informative and very successful, and we thank them. Mark brought an ambulance down. We had a little show and tell, which at first I thought wasn't the right crowd, but it was an overwhelming response. And we were probably there for another hour showing off all our toys and gadgets that we have.
By law, Jack, who are obliged to wear a helmet on the e-bike? By law.
You can ask me, you can challenge me on these questions. So the e-bike, you have to be 16 to ride it, to drive it, to operate it. And 16 and 17 have to be wear a helmet, and adults do not. They can elect not to.
Somebody under 16 can't drive those things?
Correct.
What about a scooter that you stand on?
That's what I must be seeing things.
It's considered an e-bike.
Correct.
You gonna say something?
Roll your chair over there to ask him about that.
Yeah, don't ask me those questions. The only thing as I recall,
I must be seeing things.
That's what you just said. I said,
pretty comfortable with the answer, and hopefully I'm not wrong, but I know you have to be 16 to operate an electric assist bike, which is the scooters, the bicycles, all that stuff. If you're 16 or 17, you're required to wear a helmet. If you're over that, 18 and above, an adult,
What about if you're 13?
Can't ride.
Be on it at all.
can't ride it.
Well, I must be seeing things in the
that's
heights.
why I said, point that question to Jack.
Maybe they are 16. Maybe they are.
Moving forward on that, we attended the 9/11 memorial service that the fire department hosted during 9/11, which was very nice that they continue that. We've had some public outreach that we've tried to continue, not just seasonally, but out of season. We attended the Havens House, the farmer's market, set up a little booth. Rachel, were you there? I hear it was quite receptive. We had a lot of interaction with people, and we're trying to touch or interact with people that we don't normally have in our circles or groups. So it's nice to have that outreach and kind of spread out, get a little bit of input from people on how things are. Upcoming events, we have some medical continuing education training at Eastern Long Island Hospital. The Stony Brook Network is very accommodating with helping provide continuing education. And whenever we get that invite, there are usually somebody that attends. November, I'm told, is the month for the Southampton Christmas tree lighting parade, which we've had a lot of fun going to and participating in. So we anticipate on being involved with that this year. The 5K race, I believe, is October 18th. Obviously, we'll be involved. We stand by. We have a crew that stands by during the race. Turkey plunge is usually right around the Christmas tree lighting parade day, but we are usually invited to stand by while people take their plunge. And then the last one I came up with that we have on our agenda is in mid-November is the New York State Vital Signs Conference, which is a educational training week where EMTs can go and get their mandated continuing education, mostly completed by attending the full conference. So I'm not sure if we will be sending anybody this year because we do some other programs as well, but that is coming up.
Where is that, Syracuse?
It's going to be Syracuse this year. So the last thing on events, not really an event, it's training, is we contracted with a company that does certification in emergency vehicle operations. It happens to be called CEVO, not EVOC, same thing, except this happens to be online. And we figured we would do kind of a mixed blend of training with taking the actual EVOC course, and then every couple of years we'll augment it with annual online. So this is a nationally certified, meets the criteria that we're required to do. I put that out to all the members, and hopefully over the winter they'll get that accomplished at their own pace. So we have that going on. Probably a big topic for me, we've touched on it briefly before. If you remember, I talked about we had some interest in starting a youth program to try to channel people into the agency, ultimately to volunteer. We didn't have much of a, not too many kids were interested from what we were feeling when we reached out to the school and did a little bit of inquiring. But since then, we had a 14-year-old that was extremely interested. So what we're trying to do, and I have to figure out, and I'll maybe defer to Al on that to help me with that as our liaison, is I'm not sure what the insurance requirements are, what the town has to do, but I think it's something that we definitely need to do. We need to inspire the youth to volunteer, whether it be fire or ambulance or whatever it is, but get them channeled into it. The kid that we have now, we've met with him a couple times, and he's a ball full of energy. He's extremely interested in ambulance and fire things. So it's really a way to help preserve the volunteer system in part. And it might inspire him career orient, he might never thought he would like do something in the medical field. So I think it's just a plus. We just have to make sure that whatever the requirements or whatever the needs are, whether it's insurance or liability, he's covered. And we've kind of taken this kid in at a little bit of a slow pace, and he's kind of like helping us design the youth program. We've checked with other agencies. It's not necessarily a group that they're going to go out on medical calls, but we certainly would have him during training if it's appropriate, age appropriate. Not at our meetings per se, because we do talk about HIPAA protected patient confidential information, but we would certainly have him at our meals and functions, Memorial Day parade. So I think it's a great opportunity, and we'll move forward with the town.
Get him a shirt.
Yeah, we already did it. Shirt and a hat. And,
They like shirts.
yeah.
Could he be an ambassador for the school to try to help to create a health professions pathway, just to educate young people on the array of opportunities professionally, from
That's a great idea.
physical therapy, OT, PT, MD, you don't have to shoot for the stars, nursing. There are a whole series of professions out there that many students aren't aware of. He might be the advocate.
Catalyst.
Catalyst.
Yeah, no, I get it. And that's why I didn't want to wait. We were going to tackle this over the winter in our slower time, but we figured we would strike while the iron's hot. We didn't want to lose his interest and enthusiasm. And I think he'll help us design the program.
I'd be happy to volunteer.
That would be great.
To the students in
Perfect.
school.
So
And
many
then we
real
can-
jobs, you know,
that-
where they would really have
Yeah, and
guaranteed income.
and it's important for them to, and, you know, I've been through this a lot and helped a lot of underserved communities. And what you don't want to do is have the doc come in like me and say, you want to be a doctor, you know?
Right.
It's like looking at the moon. But there's so many different health professions where they can staircase in. And it's a great career, and even the paramedics here.
Yep.
You know, and it could be a process to try to recruit more paramedics. So use his enthusiasm is what I'm saying, to try to
Yeah, no,
use that
definitely.
as an
And I
opportunity.
appreciate your offering. We're going to tap into that, and I'm gonna have
Happy
you
to do
work
it.
with Donna Clark. You know, we've looked at a lot of model programs that are successful up west, and, you know, a lot of them are very good. Some of them are more aggressive than others on what they progressively allow them to do. But we would certainly, you know, get him CPR trained and involve him in as much activity as we can. And obviously, we have to safeguard his health and welfare because of his age. But I think there's a lot of things we could do that will be fun for him and, you know, educational.
We used to have, so maybe they still do, summer interns in the ER. And obviously they couldn't do patient care, but they can run errands, they can, and they're
Right, yeah.
in the thick of it. And they get to see all the interesting stuff that's going on. And so even though they can't do direct care, they were very helpful, first of all. And it really gave them a taste of, all the different jobs, the x-ray techs and, you know,
RT,
phlebotomists, and
yeah.
everything.
Sounds like Jeannie's volunteering to help you with it.
Well, I'd be-
It would be good. I mean, we really don't, like I said, we don't want to lose the opportunity.
Right.
And we've hit some interest, so I want to prosper from it and design the program that'll be successful. Good. So I will let Donna Clark know that you're willing to help her with that, because we are looking to try to get it more formalized. And Albert, if you could just help me on the town side to see if there's a.
I'll do that.
Yep, thank you. All right. We had some truck issues, but they've been repaired. So that's all good. We were having, in case you hear from any of the members, we had some radio system problems. We're working on that. We have a radio engineer looking at some of the causes and how do we resolve that. So I think we're on top of that. I'm feeling a lot better about it now that I've heard some of their thoughts on interference. The building expansion, we've been talking about this for a long time. So the last that I heard, it's really the town's engineer and highway superintendent, buildings and grounds superintendent are the lead with the contractor that was awarded the bid. There's been a lot of excuses on the contractor side. The town has always been very receptive to answering things. The engineer, Joe, tells me that he feels comfortable that we're ready, that the project should move forward soon. That's the best I can give you as a report. We've heard that for many, it was supposed to start May 1st and be done before the summer. It's possible that the contractor had some other big jobs going on and timing just didn't work out. So hopefully it's that simple. But we're still on it. We're still trying to get the building expansion completed. And that's all I have on that. I just wanted to mention that we had our September monthly meeting at Sylvester Manor. They were kind enough to invite us to dinner at the farmhouse on Manwaring Road. So it was kind of nice to get out, kind of helps us continue what we always try to do with socializing the group and having the group interact more on a social level, not just always out in, you know, the heat of the moment on an emergency, which is kind of nice to have them breaking bread and relaxing a little bit. So that definitely accommodated that being out of the building. So I thank them for that. We did some training, as you may be aware, the school has done significant training, upgrading to their systems regarding security, specifically like active shooter or other types of building emergencies. There's technology to that. We're in that plan. So Mark had suggested, and it was good timing, that we train on that and we kind of go over our operational procedures and response to a critical incident. And we use the school systems to kind of plug in how we would respond accordingly. So, good idea, Mark. And the last thing that I have, Peter, is the credentialing that I had been talking about for our personnel management has been completed. I have the secretary of the group keeping everybody's credentials updated. So now, not only is it somebody manually looking at it, but electronically or by computer technology, everything generates reports. If you expire, we get an email. If you don't update it within a week, we get another email. So we have some automation in it to keep us on top of things. One of the things that some people aren't aware of, we used to keep a lot of the information in a ring binder in the truck, and really that's to accommodate, as you know, we're New York State certified. We are subject to the health department inspecting us at any given moment. They could pull us over in the ambulance and conduct an inspection, and we have to provide certain documents, including the EMTs, credentials, driver's licenses. So we now have that in our electronic, the tablets in the trucks that we use on calls. So there's a personnel management module to that. So we have everything electronically stored and constantly updated. So that definitely a home run as far as the business side of it.
Just had a question on the professional credentialing separate, but is there a health profile that's required to be an EMT? Do you need a PPD, you need DGT?
We do that.
And does that need to be part of the spreadsheet that you have to ensure that everyone's protected, as for themselves when they're doing their work?
Yeah, you're right. So the only thing we don't have is we don't have a policy that requires that to be done after your initial contact with us. So when you apply or when you become an EMT, there's a certain state form that you have to fill out requiring, like hepatitis, or you have to decline.
Right.
There's certain other things like that. So we have that. The town doesn't have a policy other than annually your medical provider is just supposed to say you're still good.
You don't have a yearly PPD or
Yeah,
anything?
yearly PPDs for the.
You used to
So
do
we used to do that. We got out of
Make
that.
me run that shot. It'd take 5 people to hold me down.
Yeah.
That's the one with the marker, right?
Yeah.
It's very little, Peter.
It's.
It's a TV. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just was just.
So we have had that. We haven't done that.
Required by the state, that's what I was asking.
Yeah, there's no requirement that we continue that I'm aware of. But we did it at a voluntary level, and I certainly think we should continue that. We had a nurse that would come in during what made it a little challenging is we do it with the police department. Annually, we do CPR research, and it's a given day that everybody does it. In the EMS group, it's done over many different classes and different programs, so there's no consistency to a date, other than maybe we could say annually you need it. But we certainly make it available, and we pay for any of that stuff that anybody needs to get or wants to get. But yeah, we could look at that. That's a good idea to mandate
Just
it.
make sure you're doing the state requirements and then figure out if there's any other requirements you want to have on top of that.
Yep. So that's all I have, Peter. Does anybody have any questions for the quarter?
Any old business? Any new business? Mark, anything from you?
Foundation's doing very well, the donations are still coming in. Reluctant to give you numbers, but we are now, with Jack's help, gonna purchase another Lucas. The one we had was obsolete, we couldn't get parts for it. So we're waiting on a date for it to come. So we have 2 ambulances with the Lucas and 1 pending. Foundation's doing very well.
Did they have the cricket match this year?
No, they didn't, and they normally will tell us 2 days beforehand we're doing crickets. Usually the last week in August, it just didn't happen, they didn't call. So,
Be a good fall thing to do.
yeah, well, the fall, the thing is they're not.
Everybody's gone, yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of my clients from Europe, England and Ireland, they're all looking, they got all their gear ready.
Yeah,
Frank, Emmett, Dr. Emmett got his gear ready, but nobody,
Still.
we wait on them, they organize it.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know what the rules are.
Yeah, I don't know
Talk
anything
to
about it.
Keith at Salt, and he's all for it.
For that.
He provides food and beverages for the participants. And then we usually get a check from Salt, from the donations people made, or T-shirts, et cetera, but it didn't happen this year. Lack of interest on their part.
okay. Well, if there's nothing else, next meeting is December 17th. Make a motion to close the meeting at 4:56.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's it. Thank you, Jack.